What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In my last video, I started installing the Barnes 4-wheel drive DIY long arm kit in my Jeep. Now, a big part of the last video was getting the frame caps welded together and put on the Jeep. But once that was done, installing the front was pretty quick. I went with a 3-link in the front, got all that together, and in today's video, we are going to be working on the triangulated 4-link rear. Now, Barnes has partnered with the channel to give you guys a discount. If you use the code JEEPGEAR, you'll get 10% off your order, but to do that, you need to check out all the details in the video description below. And while you're at it, go ahead and like the video and give the channel, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Now, before I can get started on the rear, I need to go ahead and get the Jeep turned around so we can get the rear end right here where I can work on it. Now, I've got everything I need for this part of the project on the table. I've got my links, I've got my brackets, and I've also got my heim joints here. So we are going to get going. I'm gonna get these dogs inside, back the Jeep up. Max, where you at? There you are, you ready to go inside? Let's go. One of these days, the LS swap is going to be done.
Maybe.
One of these days. Got all the parts for it now. Once the long arms are done, the LS swap is going to be
Completely finished?
Completely finished.
I think we've all heard that before.
It's only been a year, guys, okay? Patience.
Perfection takes time.
Let's close the garage for a good time here. I know I've talked about a triangulated 4-link a couple of times already, so I mocked it up on the table so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. So we got our lowers that are still going to run parallel, but the uppers are going to be triangulated and make a V shape into the axle. So right now my track bar is what's keeping my axle side to side. So it goes from the frame to the axle. In this case, we are going to be able to ditch the track bar because with the uppers triangulated, it is now going to hold the axle from moving side to side. Now, a couple of benefits to this. This is going to be a better setup because one, at higher speeds, this is going to only move the axle up and down, whereas with the track bar, it would kind of swoop down to the side and it's not as good of a ride. And this is also going to give me more flex, which is also going to be awesome. Now, one thing to keep in mind when doing this kit is that to do the triangulated uppers, you have to have a truss or some kind of truss kit on your axle. So right now I already have a swap truss kit on there from doing the JK axle swap. Barnes also offers this kit with a truss for pretty much any axle you can think of, and it's also going to make your axle stronger. So you definitely have to have a truss because you are going to have to weld on these brackets so you can actually mount your uppers, your triangulated uppers. So this is probably what we're going to be doing very soon. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that we are going to have to rework our exhaust, which I've also said a couple times, but I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that yet. Probably either do a turn down or rework it over this link because it gets right in the way.
That brand new Holley exhaust.
I know, I'm going to have to destroy it or cut it. I don't really know what I'm going to do yet, but let's go ahead and get the exhaust off and then get the welder out so I can go ahead and start welding my lower links.
I like being the cameraman. I don't have to do anything.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah. How's it going down there?
I'll throw this at you.
Well, I didn't get the shot. You're gonna have to redo it again.
Shut up.
Tighten it back up and take it off.
Don't be a Cassie, don't do that. We dropped the exhaust, which actually kind of sucks because we just put this kit in. It was the Holley exhaust kit designed for an LS swap and ATJ. We're probably gonna have to tear it up a little bit. So we're not gonna be able to use the tailpipe at all because our control arms get in the way now. But the muffler, I think we're gonna be able to keep. We might have to shorten it a little bit and kind of tuck it in, but other than that, we should be able to keep this muffler because it sounds really, really good. But since everything's off, Ben, what do you think? I think we should start it up and just see how loud it is.
Okay.
Start it up.
A couple revs too?
Yes. We might just have to go with a turn down temporarily before we rework the whole tailpipe part, but let's see it. Let's hear it.
It's gonna be so loud.
Let's hear it. Okay, I was not expecting it to be that loud. That was
like thunder.
That was like, I mean, you just heard it. I don't need to sound it out for you.
Hear me out, hear me out. Just put a turn down on this, how it is now.
Yeah, that could be a temporary.
Oh my gosh.
Temporary, so more than
sounds like a race car.
That was ridiculous. It's time to build the lower links. Now, I ran through how to do this in my last video, but let's run through it one more time with a little voiceover. First thing we're gonna do is measure from bolt to bolt on the axle and our new mount. Lay the measuring tape on the table, thread the bung halfway on the heim joint and lay the heim joint at the measurement we took and the other at 0. Put one end of the tubing at the base of the bung and mark at the base of the other. This is where we're gonna chop it with whatever you want, then bevel both edges to provide a good weld surface and prep the metal for welding. Then go ahead and tack weld the bungs and finish welding all the way around. And that is how you build your control arms. Now you're gonna do the same thing to the other side. And then last night I went ahead and painted it steel it gray so it could dry overnight. So when I came out here this morning, I threw a bunch of anti-seize on my heim joints and threaded them in, and this arm is good to go. Now one thing I haven't mentioned so far is that Barnes has the long shank heim joints. Now normal heim joints, they probably have about half of these threads, which leaves room for adjustability, yes, but with the long shank ones, later on down the road, if I wanted to stretch my rear axle back an inch, I would still have tons of threads to adjust on, and the setup would still be extremely strong. Now, the next step in this is going to be welding on our upper brackets on the truss. So there's not a lot of room under the Jeep to do this, let alone film it, but I'm gonna do my best to like try and show you guys what we're doing. But basically on the truss, we are going to angle these brackets towards the mounts that are on the frame. Probably just gonna eyeball it, maybe use a tape measure. Then we're gonna measure for our uppers. And then at that point, that's when I can raise the Jeep up, fully weld these mounts in. Then we can grind off the brackets for the lower control arms and do all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get these tack welded in. Wish me luck. Surprisingly, I kind of fit under here perfectly. I'm literally just sitting crisscrossed.
I'm extremely jealous.
I am cleaning off the truss because there was a bunch of dirt there. I know the grinder would have got it off, but I just didn't want it flying everywhere. So now I'm going to grind it down to bare metal before I tack weld the brackets in place. Put the bracket up here, angled the tubing towards the frame mount, kind of clamped it on here. So now we know the angle is right. I think this is where we're gonna put it. Go ahead and tack weld this one on and then start lining up the other side.
That should be good.
You know, I say like if we had a lift, this would be easier, but I don't even know. I don't know how to use a lift.
I know.
I've never used a lift
We'd be able
before.
to just put our head right here and look.
And look at everything, yeah, one day.
I think that looks pretty good.
All right, let's get the welder out.
As long as you can see what you're doing, because I can't see crap over here.
I see enough, ready?
Yeah.
It's on. It's more of just like a squeeze and hope for the best situation.
Show us.
Let's
Show us
see.
with the GoPro.
Oh boy. There she is. Let's see, let's get the light.
I think the light almost makes it worse.
I mean, I hit it.
It's on there.
No, it's on there. That's not bad. Just like
Nice.
this side's not bad. I started a little high, but
It's all
you know, it is what it is. You know, there's no practicing for this scenario. Like, it is what it is. I didn't even think to look at that.
I am a dummy. That is actually my fault.
We can't get the bolt out. Why did I spin?
That was my fault. I didn't think about it. The bolt's supposed to go the other way.
Okay, well.
We either cut the bolt or break the weld. I'd rather keep the bolt. It's a nice grade 8 bolt.
Alright, I guess we'll cut it off and re-weld it. The upper control arms are now done as well, which means all the control arms are ready to go under the Jeep. Now, I want this project to be done. I've been working on it for a while. It's time to just wrap it up, and I know you guys have been watching all the steps too. So to get the control arms under the Jeep, it can be a little tricky with a triangulated 4-link, especially trying to keep the alignment the way it is. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put the uppers in, and then take one lower off at a time and grind off the old bracket and put the new one on and do the same thing to the other side. The alignment should remain the same, so we shouldn't have to do any adjustments there. Now also this kit, guys, it's taken me a little longer just because I've been filming, but for the average DIYer, this kit it really is easy. It's just, there's some cutting, a decent amount of grinding, and a lot of welding. But if you can do those 3 things, you can do this by yourself. It is really not that bad. If you were gonna do all of this by yourself, like a straight DIY, you know, picking your own bracket locations and everything, it would probably take more than a weekend to do. But with this kit, it takes a weekend to do it if you're not gonna be filming or recording. So let's go ahead and get under the Jeep, get these control arms in so I can start figuring out what in the world I'm going to do about the exhaust situation. And just like that, the long arms are in. Now I went ahead and tightened everything down, so I torqued down all the jam nuts and the bolts and everything. Now a quick tip, if you have adjustable control arms, pick up a set of crow's feet. Now these, they attach to a ratchet or a breaker bar, and instead of trying to find a big enough wrench to tighten the jam nuts, because those can get pretty big, just grab a set of those and you're good to go. Now next thing I'm gonna talk about is the exhaust. So at first I thought I was gonna have a little harder time reworking the exhaust, and I probably will in the future. But I went ahead and just cut off a piece of the upper part of the exhaust, moved the muffler back, and then welded on a new hanger onto the little e-brake thingy. So I'm gonna show you guys real quick what I did. All right, so take a look under here. So I just cut back the upper part of the exhaust, moved the muffler back, and then I welded in a new hanger right over here on the e-brake thingy. So that is going to be a temporary fix. I'm going to put a turn down on it for the meantime, but later I would either like to rework it so it goes out the rear, or rework it and have like a side cutout through the corner armor. I think that would be pretty cool. I've seen a lot of people do that. So I'll go with one of those two in the future. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the alignment. So I went ahead and ditched the track bar on this thing, and when I move it, we only have body movement, which is really nice. There is no side to side movement. Now the alignment with a 4-link can be a little tricky. The way I did mine was I did one arm at a time in the rear, so I don't think I'm gonna have any issues with the alignment. But there are videos out there to help you if you're doing the 4-link and you need some help getting your alignment right. There are tons of videos out there already, so I'm not gonna go into detail on that. But I will say this thing looks pretty good. The angles of the control arms look so much better than they did before. The next step is going to be taking it for a test drive and seeing how it rides. It's really, really windy today, but I want to get it on the road and see if it rides better, because my guess is that it's going to make sure nothing funky is going on. So let's get the keys, let's go grab Ben and hit the road.
How's it feel so far?
Yeah, good. So guys, I got some stuff to tell you, but I'm not going to tell you till we go back from the test
About
drive.
what?
Check out the sign behind you.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Should we tell them now?
No, we have to wait till after the test drive. All right, hop in. So far, so good. No weird noises. It's always kind of scary. I feel like after projects, you never know what's gonna happen.
Like the first big drive after a big project, it's like, oh man.
Did I forget to tighten something down?
Did you weld that one? Did you weld that one bung?
We're not questioning. We're not gonna question it.
It feels good.
It does. It feels really good.
Like going over those bumps right there. Like before,
you felt
the whole Jeep would rattle.
Yeah, it was always.
This is actually really smooth so far.
Wait, will you open the app on your phone? It has the speed thing.
Oh yeah, the speedometer doesn't work.
Speedometer does not work yet, guys. Okay, how fast are we going?
We are going 44.
Go ahead, we're at 45. It feels really smooth so far. It feels better than it did before. It feels way better. Like before, this is a rough road. It's even like kind of rough in the car. There's so many dips, but right now I don't feel anything.
No. Does it track straight?
Yeah, for the most part. It tracks way straighter than it did before.
Yeah.
Before I feel like I was kind of bump.
Oh, go down this road. This is a more rough road.
Good idea. I haven't mentioned it to you guys, but we are doing tonight's emergency lifter swap.
Yeah.
Need to change the lifters out. You can hear it. I think you can probably hear it on the GoPro.
Hold it out on your side.
Tick, 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 tick.
And then give it some gas.
So as you can probably hear, it's a pretty bad lifter tick. When we did the swap originally, we kept the factory lifters. In hindsight, should have just changed those out. So when I get home from this test drive, we are going to be changing out the lifters. Those bumps do not feel
it's a lot better.
Anywhere near as bad as they would before we put the long arms in. This is pretty great. Why didn't I should have done this sooner.
This rides a lot better.
And we've talked about this too. I would say, like, before we did the engine swap, I had thought about doing long arms, and I should have done it sooner, because this ride, it is such a better ride.
Oh, a lot of people, like, I know a lot of you are going to want to like see the off-road benefits, but as you can listen to the engine, this is not, we definitely have to fix the lifters before we go on a long drive.
Yeah.
To
wherever we're going next.
Or just go off-road and test out the suspension. But I'll hop out where some of the, I mean, there's a big bump. A lot smoother. So much smoother.
Since we're already driving, there's a little spot to flex on back here. So I'm gonna back it up and just see what it looks like.
I'm curious. I mean, just did a 4-link, so why not
test
Man, so it doesn't even really look like you're flexing. You have so much more room to go. Well, you're nice and stuffed over here. I'm just looking at the flex. Oh yeah. Oh.
What? I heard it. What is it?
Your spring.
No. No. No.
Yeah, you definitely have a lot of flex back here.
You know what's funny? Ben and I have had this conversation. I was like, but this was before we did long arms. I said, I need to get different springs. And you're like, no, you're never going to flex to where your spring's going to pop out. I don't think you have enough flex, Cass. And I was like, I think I do.
It's a great time to go ahead and change out the bump stops.
Yeah, bump stop and like double or triple rated springs.
Or
coilovers.
that would solve all the issues.
That would solve all the problems, but I don't know if I'm ready for that. So in conclusion, this thing flexes way better with the long arms on, and also got some new shocks on there, so it just allows for more travel. This is also a really good reason why you should test things out before you go off-roading, because I don't think Ben nor I would have thought about the spring popping out in the rear.
Yeah.
Maybe we would have, maybe not.
We both knew it, but like it skipped our mind this time. You're like, I heard a pop.
But this is a good reason to go play around on some dirt mounds before you actually go wheeling. Now, checking out the front flex is more as well. Man, I'm so excited to get this thing off-road. Another thing to know, I do not have my sway bar disconnected. They're disconnected. So that would probably allow for more flex too. But let's get that spring popped in and let's get back to the house, because we do have a little more to talk about before this video is over. Do you want me to just slowly come down and see if it pops on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Slowly. A little more? All right, you're good.
Did it fall on?
It came back in.
Back at the house. Now a quick recap, this thing drives so much better with the long arms in. On the road, soaks up all the bumps. Off-road, it just doesn't, there's not as much, it's not a jab going over all the bumps and rocks anymore. It is such a smoother ride. I'm very excited to test out this Barnes kit even more. So far, 2 thumbs up for this kit. Love it. It was a pretty easy install. More to come on that when we can actually go wheeling, which should be coming up soon, because as you guys saw before I left on my test drive, the house is for sale, under contract, closing at the end of this month, which means we are moving in literally like 3 weeks. Not gonna tell you guys where yet, but it's coming up very, very soon. So we have a lot to do to get all 5 of our vehicles ready for another move. This is deja vu. We just moved last year, but it was time for another change. So we need to get the lifters changed out on this thing. Now the lifter check did go away, but there's definitely a problem. Don't think it's an exhaust leak. So we're just gonna go ahead and change the lifters out on this, do a couple of other small things on all the vehicles to get it ready to go. And other than that, guys, you will see us very, very soon. As always, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and my name's Cassie, and keep Jeep and classy.